So it's 2 o'clock, so let's begin. Okay, let me share my desktop and during the during my presentation, if you can please mute your microphone, which sometimes makes some noise, so that. But as you know, whenever you have a question, don't forget to unmute the first. Otherwise, I cannot hear you. So let's begin. So this is a D12. As you sign in, you should be able to see D12 homepage. If not, you have not officially enrolled yet, or at least the UCO system does not recognize you. So make sure that you can see the D12. So everything is organized on D12, so you can just check from the very first one, lesson 0. Lesson 0, number 0 means that there is no assignment for that, but lesson 1 and on, there is assignment. So let's begin with a lesson 0, and especially syllabus. So first several videos I want to watch for details of syllabus and the like. But I like to point out a few things today is oh, by the way, my name is Hong Sung. I'm a professor of computer science. And the email and D12 are there. But as I will emphasize, the D12 is a primary means of communication. So do not email me unless you have a confidential or private matters. So any course related questions are not personal, not private questions. So be sure to post on D12. That's a requirement. So despite that, if you email me a question, your question will be handled in the lowest priority. So make sure that if you want some fast or prompt reply, be sure to use a D12. And the D12 requirements, I will explain that shortly. These office hours are just formal things. So since we do everything remotely, so if you have questions simple enough to write, post your questions on D12. That's a preferred one. But some of the questions, it may be hard to write, or some of the questions you may want to show your screen, computer screen. Then you can request for a video conference using this webex so that you can share your screen, you can show me what you are doing and the like. To do so, email me to set up an arrangement to schedule for that. So if you email me in the morning, it will be pretty much I will be available on the same day and the like. So email me to make an arrangement for video conference based office hours. As to the textbook, we don't have any separate textbook for this course. We continue to use the same book from Programming 1, which is a big C++. And then data structures class have another text there, so there's some of the contents we are going to use. But those textbooks are not required. I mean, required mean you have to have the copy of the book and then read a certain section. So those assignments will not be there. So everything will be in the lecture video. So if you don't have those copies of the books at all, you may survive. Prerequisite is a programming 1, which means this is a second part of a programming class. So I assume that you have a basic understanding of a C++ that you learned from programming 1. It does not matter whether you get an A or not. It's not prerequisite, officially though, but real prerequisite is you are literate in C++ or not, especially the concept of classes and pointers, because we continue with that. That's more important. If you have got an A grade a couple of years ago, but you don't know how to write the C++ at all by now, then you don't have a proper prerequisite background. You'd better refresh your memory and then come back later. So that's a very important. I don't care the grade ABC, but I do care how much knowledge of C++ you have in your brain now. That's the most important thing. So we continue from programming one. So first, we just learn advanced topics in C++ language, and also we will study the basic concepts of data structures called stacks, queues, and lists and trees. And then advanced topics in data structures you will learn in next advanced course, data structures and algorithm. Here is a very important thing you should check yourself. Remember that if you take 6 hours in summer, which means a full-time student, unlike a regular semester you should take 12 hours to be a full-time. But summer is 6 hours because the summer classes are condensed twice as fast as a regular semester. Since this course is 3 credit hours, which means if you take this course alone, you are already half-time student, which half-time worker, which means you need to spend at least 20 hours a week for this course alone, since you are half-time students. So if you are unable to allocate 20 hours a week for this course for the next 8 weeks because of your workload or family issue or any other reasons, like you need to have a party every weekend, something like that. If you are not available, if you cannot allocate 20 hours a week, you are strongly advised to take this course later. So that's a bottom line. If you are super smart, you may need less than 20 hours. But if you are average student at UCO, 20 hours a week is a minimum, not maximum. Okay. Sometimes 25 hours, sometimes 30 hours are reasonable if you are just one of the typical student. So this is just a very basic calculation, and then if you cannot make 20 hours a week available for this course, please drop this class and take it some other semester. If you have a question at any time, you may just unmute your mic and then ask questions. Feel free to do so. D2L requirements. D2L is our primary means of communication, so it's very important that everybody is on the same page. And the D2L requirements is as follows. As you sign in on your D2L, at this moment, you should be able to see our class programming 2. Click on, and this is the home page of our class. This D2L is designed widget based, so you don't have to always check what contents are. So don't do that. Don't follow through contents, but follow through links available from course home widget. That's the first thing. And then D2L requirements. You have to subscribe discussion forums I've created. We have 3 discussion forums: announcements, lesson Q&A, creative work Q&A, and then requirements is that you should subscribe all 3 discussion forums. I have subscribed so that you can see the stars field, but by default it is not filled. If that's the case, click on and choose send me an instant notification and then subscribe. Make sure you do same thing on lesson Q&A and the creative work Q&A. By doing so, what happens is that I assume that every student is instantly notified as a message is posted, as I post a message on announcement or any of those 3 forums. Also, students post questions on Q&A forum. I will be notified. In addition to all the rest of the classmates are notified. So that's the requirements of D2L configuration. So there is a instant notification as I post a message or as you post a message. So that's a requirement, and that's our primary means of communication. Oh, someone just typed the question. Let me open chat. Okay, creative question. So it will be explained shortly. Okay, I will get back to that shortly. That's agenda in my agenda list. Yes, okay, we'll do that. So that's the D12 configuration. And then what you need to remember is as I told you, students are discouraged to email the instructor unless it's a confidential or private questions or communications. Then I will respond to the questions on D12 on the highest priorities. So if you have some common class questions, if you email me, you may get my reply in a couple of months. Okay, so post your question on D12. In other words. So if you have any question, you may just ask by your voice or write something on the chat. Programming assignments, I have organized on the home page of the D12, you will see that from lesson 0, there's no assignment. From lesson 1 through lesson 21. So that's the lessons. But lesson 20, there is no assignment directly for that. So overall, you will have 20 assignments out of 21 lessons. And then there will be 12 creative work assignments. So if you go back to the home page, here today is lesson 0, no assignment. By Thursday, you have 2 assignments due, lesson 1 and lesson 2. And then creative work assignment follows. Creative work assignment for the previous lesson on the same week, lesson 1 and 2. And then I will explain in detail what you need to do as a creative work assignment. But just at this moment, understand the schedule. The schedule is something like this. Every Monday and Thursday, you have assignment due out of the lesson. So that assignment I will explain detail again. And then one day later for each lesson, there is a creative assignment. So creative assignment is due by Friday and Tuesday. So Monday, Thursday, lesson assignment. And then Thursday, Tuesday, creative assignment. That's the pattern for next about 7 weeks. But towards the last, there is a 1 week project period. So you do some project, which is not based on specific lesson, but based on the entire semester, what you have learned. Okay, that's a lesson assignment and then creative work assignment. The details I will explain that shortly. So submission deadline is 11:59 of the due date. Monday, Thursday, Tuesday, Friday, always 11:59 p.m. is due, and then late submission will be accepted within next 12 hours, meaning that next day noon you can submit late, but there will be hourly late penalty, which is a 3 points per hour late submission penalty will apply. And after that, the D12 submission link will be closed, so you cannot submit at all. So that's the late submission. And for creative work assignment, you need to submit the program code and the video presentation, 2 of things. For lesson assignments, you submit the program code only, but creative work, you submit the 2 things. We'll explain that shortly again. And then grading and evaluation, 20 assignments for 40% of the course grade, which means 2% each assignment. And the 12 creative work assignments for 36%, 3% each. 24% is for the term project. And then 90%, 80%, 70% is the typical break line for grade A, B, C, and the like. Any questions so far, except the details of the assignment? Okay. Extra. Go ahead.
I have a question.
Okay.
So for the project, we do it alone or do we do it in a team?
Individual project. Yes. Good question. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I got it.
Okay. And at the end of the semester, question is no exams. If you insist, I can get you an exams. But if you don't insist, there's no exams. Okay, only those ones. So assignments and project is that. Okay, and at the end of the semester, like if you get 89.9%, then normally you may expect you may get an A from the instructor. But in this course, that is not true. Only if it's 90% or higher, you will get A. If you in short of 0.1% in short, you will get B. That's the class policy for sure. Okay. Then you may need extra credit. Then how do you get extra credit? Extra credit will not be given if you beg hard, if you bribe hard. There is no such available. But the only way to get extra credit is a class activity on D12. That is the one. So if you actively participate lesson Q&A, so on the home page we have a lesson Q&A and creative work Q&A, question and answer forum. So here some students already have done that. So lesson 0, students have posted the question and then tried to answer. So if you see questions on the forum and if you know the answer, feel free to help to post one. This is especially important that mostly I know that computer science students tends to work overnight, like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. and the like. And at that moment you may need help. You got stuck on certain code. Then feel free to post your questions on D12. Then chances are there might be some other students in this class working at that time. And then if it happens to be you, and if you happen to know, how to help, feel free to reply the post and then help. So that is considered as a good class activity on D12, and that will be counted towards extra credit. So your activity on question and answer forum and creative work lesson, that will be counted as extra credit. And then exactly how much point you will get for each reply, it depends. I cannot get you quantitative formula for that, but if you are helping others, that will be counted higher than you have just a simple question. But to clarify the things, those questions will be counted more than simply asking question like when is a lesson 1 due? Something you can find from the D12. So that kind of activity will be not counted a very high credit. But some credit, non-zero credit will be given though, but depending on how much contribution you can make by replying or helping others, those are some qualitative indication how you get the extra credit. Question about the lab. As I already announced, if you are taking lab and lecture concurrently, you do not do anything on the lab. The lecture is all inclusive for lab activity. So the lab section is only for the students who are taking lab only without lecture. Okay. So in that sense, I guess the ones at this moment you are at this video class because you have enrolled the lecture class, right? So either lecture and lab concurrently or lecture only. Okay? So you don't need to worry about anything on the lab, just the lecture only. So I'm read the question, yes. So if you are taking lab only, you are not here at this moment because this is not your section. But if you are taking both lab and lecture, don't worry about the lab section, just completely ignore. Okay, I will show you that first. Under the announcement, I have posted a concurrent enrollment, lecture and lab. If you are taking lab concurrently, the lectures on the left hand side of the table is a lecture, and that is counted double, lecture and the lab. So your lab 1 grade will be the same as a lesson 1 of the lecture, so it's double counted. Okay. So you can completely ignore the lab section. Okay. There is an assignment, but those are only for the students who are taking lab only without lecture. Any other question for that? But if you want, you can do work on the lab, but that will not be counted for any credit, just for your fun. You may do that. But some of them are the same, some of them are different from the lecture. Okay. Feel free to do work on the lab if you find it's different from lesson, but it's not counted as a credit. Just for your own interest, you can do that. There's no harm. So remember, extra credit is only through Q&A forum, either lesson or creative work. So towards the end of a semester, you may say, I only lacking 1% to get the next higher letter grade. Can you give me an extra work? My answer will be very sure, for sure. No will be my answer. So accumulate, get some extra credit from the very beginning of the semester so that in case you are a little bit in short of the next higher grade, you can use extra credit to promote your letter grade. So course outline, these are the topics. Academic integrity, all of the assignments are individual work, so which means you cannot share the final code with the other students. Okay? That's the one. But you may share ideas or how to solve the problem in general with a different examples that are allowed. But if you show your final code, both the givers and taker will get the same penalty. For the details, you can find the code of student conduct in UCO homepage. Syllabus is just for information. As necessary, I may change some of those, but it will be then announced through D12 immediately. If you belong to this category, and then if you find you need some extra accommodations, as you learn from the class policy today, contact me immediately for arranging extra accommodations. So any question about the syllabus in general? And let me move ahead. Lesson 0. Syllabus is done. And then what you need to do by today is install the programming environment. If you are from programming 1 at UCO, probably you have used the Linux account for that, directly connecting to that using PuTTY or terminal of the Mac. But here I show you how to use your computer, so you can create the C++ program on your computer, either Windows or Mac, and then you can check compatibility on the Linux server the department provides. And then you can use a Visual Studio Code, which is a graphic user interface based on the IDE or tools, which is a very convenient. Also, especially the debugger in Visual Studio Code is a very convenient tool to trace your programming logic or debug your code. So you will find it very convenient. But your final submission will be verified at the Linux account, so you need to final check the compatibility. So those ones are all explained in the how to submit assignment on the next lesson. But here, Windows or Mac, follow these instructions to have your own C++ environment on your computer. Okay. So moving to lesson 1, do you have any questions for lesson 0 so far? moving to lesson 1. This is something you should do really. So all things are ready to write the program now. So first step is before we begin with a lesson, here is what you need to do for the assignment for each lesson. So you just do this for each lesson. Assignment of each lesson, what to do. Understand the contents of the lecture video for each lesson. There is a set of videos there, lecture videos there. So understand the contents of the lecture video. Lecture video shows the code I'm writing live, and then that is recorded. So you will see how I write the code. So understand what I'm writing, and then understand the purpose of every single line of code. So if I begin with a pound, include, angle bracket, IO stream, try to understand the purpose of each letter. Okay, that's very important. If it does not make perfect sense, pause and ask questions until you are cleared about it. For example, if I open a file and type a pound include, and then you don't know why I put pound, pause there. Don't simply copy from my screen, my video. And then include and the angle brackets. So understand why I use angle bracket instead of double quotes. And then double angle bracket, I put IO stream. Then understand what is IO stream. If everything makes sense perfectly, follow with the next line. So that's how you study from this lecture video. And then what you need to do as assignment of each lesson, which is not a creative work assignment, is produce the same code after understanding from my video, if possible, without directly looking into the code. Just understand a block of code, try to reproduce yourself out of your understanding. That is how to develop programming skills. So if you mindlessly copy the code as shown in the video, you will develop an excellent typing skills. So you will be an excellent typist with a bachelor's in computer science degree, which will not be honored in the industry at all, though. But if you want to be a typist, that's what you can do. However, if you want to reproduce the code by yourself after understanding them without directly looking into the videos, you will develop good programming skills. As you know, I am unable to tell how your code was produced when you submit. You may get an A for your good typing skills, so you can choose what you want to be in the future. By graduating computer science degree, do you want to be a typist or do you want to be a programmer? It's all up to you. And this course, I don't want to be just a police how you write the code and like. So I want just to your choice. And then depending on what you want to be, and then how you want to study from the video. It's all up to you. Okay. So if you don't develop enough programming skills in the next advanced course, data structures and algorithm, you may not survive with the typing skills alone. For sure, you may not survive. So if you want to survive in next programming class, you should have proper programming skills. So it's up to you how much you want to learn. So if you, as you watch the video, and then understand them, and then if you can reproduce without looking at that, then that's the best way to develop programming skills. Otherwise, your programming skill may not be appropriate for the next advanced course or the rest of the computer science curriculum. So while you do so, you may add more code of your own for further practice the programming. For the first lesson, I showed you the review of the pointer concept you have learned from programming 1. And then you may want to just practice on your own. You are very encouraged to do so. But however, first complete the identical code in the lecture video, and then you may add your own code to deepen your understanding of the topic. However, if you added your own code, put them in the comments. If you don't want to delete them, put them in the comments before you submit, so that when your program runs, it should produce the same output as the lecture video code. So that's a requirement. So feel free to try something on your own, but do that in some certain other part of the code, and then finally put them in the comments box. Comments. So that's what you need to do as an assignment of each lesson. Any question about that?
Yes, sorry. If we are putting our code in the comments, like, um, is it that we shouldn't allow it to run with the original code?
Or the one in the comments will not be examined. So as long as the code outside the comments, that is considered as identical code or not.
Okay.
Okay. So feel free to test your own code, but don't forget to put them in comments. Okay. Any other question about the lesson assignment? Oh, here on is requesting to annotate shared contents. Is that something you need on, or you accidentally just requested it? On, ANH. If you do not respond, I will just decline the request. May I go ahead, or do you need it? Okay, I pressed the decline. If you need it, let me know later. So for each lesson, so like lesson 1 pointers, since it's the first lesson, I have explained what to do, and then actual videos are there, and then how to submit is the next part. So question is, would it be a problem even if we had comments on the code you showed on the video? Adding comments to the code, that's okay. That's okay. Comments are always ignored, so that's okay. Yes. So as you watch my video, and then a certain line, if you wanna add your own comments to help your self understanding, yes, feel free to do so. Okay. Another question is, can I write a simple program include the content in your lesson? In addition to the lecture video, if you want to add more program, before you submit, put them in the comments. Okay. So what I mean is that ignoring all the comments, what you submitted, the program you submit, by ignoring all the comments, the remaining part of the pure code should be identical to the lecture code. That's a lesson assignment. So whatever you do in the comments will be all ignored. Any more question about that? So that's what you need to do as a lesson assignment. And then next part is how to submit. You can watch those videos, but let me explain from PDF file. How to submit. This is only for lesson assignment. The creative work assignment, I will explain that later. So how to submit. So what it says is you need to check whether the program you created on your Windows or Mac are compatible at the Linux account or not. The main reason is I'm going to test your program on the Linux account, not PC or not Mac. So if I cannot compile, I cannot run on Linux account, you will get 0 credit. So making sure that you can double check the compatibility, and the details of those process I have created a video here, and then you can follow the instruction for details. But here is just the written instructions for that. So basically what you need to do is transfer your code into Linux account and compile it there, and then from the Linux account create a zip file by this command. So all of those are shown in the video as you watch that. So if you are new to that, just watch the video later. And then create the zip archive file, including all the source code you need to submit. And then there is a zip file naming convention. L means a lesson, N means a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then your first name .zip is the file name requirement. When you give a first name, I know some of you prefer the first name not at the UCO registered name, but for me to recognize who you are, be sure to use the first name appearing on UCO system. Okay, that's a requirement. So submit the .zip file via D12, and those are all shown in these videos, some demonstrated on these videos. Question about submission? So this means zip from the Linux command means do not create a zip file from your Windows 10 or Mac. Don't do that. Okay, always create a zip file. After testing your code and Linux account, then create a zip file from the Linux account. And then take this zip file back to your PC to submit via D12. So you need a Linux account. I have posted a message for Linux account. Let me quickly check that. So announcements. Linux server account. I have already created one for you, and then I send it to your D12 email. On the D12, on the top, there is an email icon there. So that is a D12 email within D12 system, which is not uco.edu though. Okay, so here you should have received the account information there. So this account is renewed every semester. So the one you have been using in the spring semester is no longer available. So this is new one. And as you move into fall semester, this will not be available. So every semester you get a new account. Remember that. And then another one is cs.uco.edu server has some malicious activity detection, so that if you try incorrectly, username and password incorrectly about 10 times, your account will be locked by IP address. So remember that. So you will, if your connection is denied after trying several times of incorrect login, then your IP is locked, not account itself. So if you come to the campus or other, then it may work and the like. So if your account is locked, you need to contact Dr. Chen, chairperson, by sending an email with your home IP, and then he will help you with those ones. So another question is, can we not submit using commands using a.out script out via editor? No. So in the previous semester, you have had some submission instructions. That's by that instructors, not by me. Okay, so follow my instructions. So do not assume anything is true from past semester. It's just a new course with a new instructor. Creative work assignment, I haven't explained yet. It will come shortly. So CS server account, today after this lesson, just check if account is working or you got that or not, and then make sure that you have a correctly working account, because you need one to submit the first assignment. So go back to first lesson. So I have explained how to submit. Then still we are on the lesson assignment. Grading policy. No credit is given if there is a compiler or runtime error in Linux account. Any violation of the submission instructions, like how to create the zip file, what's the naming convention of the submission file, and so on, those are subject to penalty. the use of a correct Linux command to create the archive. And then as you can see the instructions over there or videos, you are supposed to clean up byproduct of a compilation, a.out or .o files. But instead, if you submit those ones, I do not appreciate it, but you will get penalty for that. Submission file name is a specific naming convention there. And then I expect your code the same as the lecture except for comments. So I do not look into comments. So you are encouraged to the creative some or your own additional work, but before you submit, put them in the comments. So points are deducted if your code does not implement all of the code in the lecture video. And as I told you, late submission within next 24 hours, which is noon next day, but there will be hourly late penalty. So that's a grading policy. Any question regarding lesson assignment before we talk about the creative work assignment? It seems several of you are super excited about the creative work assignment to clarify. Any question? No? All right, let's move to creative work assignment. So lesson 1 and lesson 2 are two different assignments. Do similarly for lesson 2, but dues are on the same day. So here, these are the lecture for lesson 2, and then how to submit, what to do, that are the same. Then on Friday this week, we have a first creative assignment. So creative assignment is for lesson 1 and 2 together. So as you can see, creative work assignment 2 is a lesson 3 and 4, but some of the one, like as you move farther away, creative assignment 5 is only for lesson 9 because in that day you have only one lesson due and the like. So sometimes based on 2 lessons, sometimes based on 1 lesson. And then instructions, here is a creative work assignment instructions. So what is a creative work assignment? It's explained in the video. If you want, you can watch it later, but it's a written instruction is here. Okay. Purpose of the creative work assignment. We are living in the age of AI. We know that your future job will be secured if you do creative work where AI cannot beat the humans. If you have some research yourself, then we know that something AI is doing better than human, but some of the area AI cannot beat the human. The most obvious part is creative work. So AI does better in doing things when all the requirements are provided. For example, the assignments you have done so far in any class, or in any computer science class, all the requirements are given. Do A, do B, do C, expected the result is XYZ, given input W and the like. And then write the C++ program for that or Java program for that. Do you think you can beat the AI? Definitely not. We already have an AI system developed by Rice University, Computer Science Department of Rice University at Houston, that creates a Java program automatically when you describe your requirements are, what requirements are. So, which can do quickly, which does not require to all night staying up and the like. It just will get just a matter of seconds there. So if you think a good programmer is given all the instructions, write a program that meets the requirement, that is a programmer of the past, not programmer of the future. Such programmers will be replaced by AI. It's just a matter of time. So while you study computer science, some of the computer science jobs are not secured by AI, even if you do programming job. So then what is the best way to survive, to keep your future career? Do not compete with AI in your future career. And then the most important thing is develop creative work, skills of doing creative work. That's the most important thing. So you are encouraged to practice doing things creatively through the assignment, the creative work assignment. So creative work assignment is a kind of an open question. There's no detailed, strict guideline what you need to do. In that case, I would have AI instead of you. If I own a company, I would just use AI. I don't want to hire you. If I know all the requirements, what program should be done. So then how do you practice creative work? Well, at this moment, you are lower division student, so you need to practice anyway, but the best way to practice, I have come up with this idea. So what to do part? First, just create a fresh new project, and then study more about the presented topic so as to confirm and broaden your understanding of the topic. So lesson 1 is about the pointer, lesson 2 is about the class. Then study something that I didn't cover in the lecture about the pointer or class. You have lots of resources on the internet or YouTube and the like. You don't have to have a book. There's lots of information there. Then something I didn't cover, study yourself and then try to do it yourself. So you may add more features of the program based on the lecture video. You don't have to have a completely new program, but you may just enhance, add more features, more functions, more test code and the like. But it should be in related topics of the lesson. So first, the creative assignment is regarding pointer or class. So you can choose a pointer only or class only or both. Anything is fine. And then just practice to deepen your understanding of the topic. And then show me by writing code after you understand, teach yourself. So that's the basic things you should do. Then the first time it's very difficult to have something creative if you have never done that. Okay, so here's some hint tips for finding creative work. Assume one of those two following situations. Then this is a beginning point. Some tips how to begin with practicing creative work. So first one is upon understanding the given topic of the lesson, study more related topics not covered in the lecture, and implement what you have taught yourself as an additional feature of the program under assignment. That's one way to do so. And then second one is another way to find the creative work is upon understanding the given topic of the lesson, suppose you need to teach the same topic to your friend, but you are not allowed to use the example code I have created. So you need to create your own example to explain, to teach the same topic. And then as you create your own example, that is another creative work. So there are two tips how to begin with creative work. So the question I receive is we can choose either pointer or classes. Yes, you can do either one or both. So for each creative work, which is based on the previous lesson, so for creative assignment 1, you can do pointer only, class only, or put them together. Creative work 2, it's a more advanced topics of a class. It's all about the class, even if you two different lessons. So you have to do class only, advanced features of class only. And assignment 3, either lesson 5 or lesson 6, or put them together. So it's all up to you. Okay. So any more question about creative work assignment? Okay, so
Uh,
go ahead.
so you said that we need to have a video presentation. So
I
how
will
can
explain that shortly. I did not explain that yet. Yeah, I will explain shortly. Okay, good. Here, creative work requirements. Creative work requires an implementation of your own study, so it should be relevant to the current topic of the lesson. That's the first most important thing. Okay. But if you don't like a first lesson is a pointer or class, but if you do more about the loop in C++, that's a completely unrelated topic, so it will not be counted. So if your creative work is not related to the topic of the current lesson, it is not counted. And then I expect a non-trivial size code in complexity. The code should have a decent number of lines that shows the complexity of the code. However, if you copy a long block of the code from the lecture or textbook or internet source and just a few changes of a name or variable and so on, it will not be counted. So you need to write the code yourself, non-trivial number of lines. That's expected. So in conclusion, the creative work does not mean just an arbitrary random code. It should meet the above two requirements. So another question here is that if it includes classes and inside of the class you have a loop, so would it count? It depends. If the loop is to show the functionality of the feature of a class, that is right. But if you have just a dummy class and then you have lots of loop inside of that, then we can see that's a focus of loop, not a topic of a class. So it depends. The question is from Rekin. And another question, nested class. Nested class is not taught in the lecture, so exploring more about the nested class would be a good choice. But again, you should have a quite complexity. If you just give a very simple nested class within a class and then saying that that's all your creative work, then you don't get much credit out of that. And then having the nested class should be some purpose. It's not just a random nested class, but it's to support the outer class functionality and so on. Here's some private questions asking not to share with the idea. However, I'm not going to share because you are asking me, but generally, please share what idea you have as a creative work. That's a very good D12 class activity. But do not share the code. For example, in Pointer Lesson 1, as a creative work, you have an idea how to use a pointer for XYZ purpose. So you need to study some and then you may get a good code for that. But don't share the final code, but feel free to share the idea. I want to do creative work pointer XYZ, post on D12, and it's okay others to do follow same idea, then the result will be different implementation because you don't share the actual code, just the idea. For example, in lesson 2 in class, suppose you want to implement various kind of sorting algorithm. It may not be appropriate though. For example, so you want to add many sorting algorithm in the class. Just share your idea. So I want to do sorting on classes, but do not share any code. So if any other student sees that, you may do the same thing but in different implementation. In that case, please give credit to the originator of the idea. So suppose Amrit just posted. So creative work assignment 1, I want to do sorting on classes. Then suppose it sounds good to me, so I do same thing. Then in my code, I should say on the top of the source code, in the comments, say that credit to Amrit. But it's my own implementation, my own creative work of implementation. So you will be counted as extra credit if you help to give creative ideas and share with others. So as I told you, feel free to share your creative idea and also feel free to ask classmates what creative idea others may have. If you don't have a good idea, then just follow others' idea and then give a right credit for that. So as you share your creative idea, it will be counted as extra credit. Helping others is very important in this class. This is not for you to develop your own secret software and something like that. That's not here. So helping others is also very important. So another question I receive is what is considered as a complex code in regards to the creative work assignment? It's hard to quantify, but here is the class schedule. Remember that every week you are supposed to work 20 hours. So except the first week, so second week, let's give an example of second week. It's a full week. So you are going to do two lessons, one creative work, two lessons, and one creative work. So as you watch those two lesson videos, each lesson is no longer than 1 hour. So you will probably spend 1 hour per each lesson, which is short enough. So overall, on this week, week 2, you will spend about 4 to 5 hours for lesson 3, 4, 5, and 6. Suppose you have spent 5 hours, then 15 hours left over. So 15 hours should be two creative work assignment 2 and assignment 3. So divided by 2, so at least you should spend like 7 hours in that range approximately for each creative work assignment. So what is considered as a complex code? As you submit it, it may be a little bit different from student to student, but if I see like 10 lines of code, then it's hard to believe for me that you have spent 7 hours to come up with 10 lines of code. So that's so in average student, or if you see your friends saying that your friend has spent 7 hours to come up with 25 lines of code for pointer topic. So can you believe that? So that is some qualitative idea, requirements of complex code. So I cannot give you quantitative formula whether it's complex or not. Sometimes it may be 100 lines. Sometimes it may be 30 lines, depending on the complexity of the algorithm itself and the like. But in this course, most of the algorithm is a very simple ones, not very complex to study. It does not require like 10 hours to understand the algorithm. There's nothing there like that. So the number of lines should be quite a decent number of lines so that you can persuade me that you have spent at least 7 or 8 hours for the creative work. Okay, there is another question. So if you create your own examples, yes, that's a creative work. That's what I explained here, how to be a creative worker. But that is actually compared to the first method, that is slightly less creative though. But it is counted as a creative work if you create your own examples. Yes. Another question is I'm recording current session, so it will be available after the session is over, but it may take 1 or 2 hours to process it and then upload it. So any other question about creative work? It's not done yet. You submit the code first, and then you need to submit the video. So I will explain the video part shortly. Creative work assignment, as you click 1 and 2 or the rest, actually it goes to the same page. There is no separate creative work assignment for each assignment. It's for all. And what to do is I explained that. And then you need to create the video to explain the source code you created. So you need to explain to me what the code you have created. But when you explain, please understand that I know C++ in decent level, so you don't have to explain what the meaning of int I. Okay, I is a variable to create for integer type. If you do if, you don't have to explain how if works. You may assume that I know the most of the C++ semantic and syntax. The reason why is that so that your video could be short. It is not to explain. Your source code, you are explaining to me, not to your grandma. I assume your grandma is not computer scientist, of course. Okay. So keep in mind that you are explaining to me. Then create the video presentation and explain your source code using Visual Studio Code. Your code just line by line. You don't have to explain in detail, just line by line what you are doing. And then the video you need to upload on the YouTube, and then what you submit is the video link only, not the actual video file. Okay. Question is there a time limit of the video? There is no time limit, but it should be reasonable. If you have a 1 hour video explaining every single detail of what's the meaning of an int, meaning of a double, meaning of a for, meaning of those ones, that may not be good presentation. Just remember you are explaining to me. In that sense, mostly video will not be longer than 10 minutes. Expect, but if you have a quite complex code, it may exceed 10 minutes. So there is no official time limit of the video. So let me explain the video part. However, the YouTube has some video limit issue. I will explain that shortly. So how do you create the video? You should record your computer screen directly. So if you just have another video camera like cell phone and then just recording, shooting your computer screen, that's not acceptable. Okay, so you should record the computer screen directly. Here is a free offline software, MonoSnap. Or you can install Windows or Mac. And then all the video I have created for this lesson, I'm using Mac. I use this MonoSnap for that. And then there's also convenient free online recording services. These are the ones I find the students in the past semester use popularly. Those ones, Bandicam and the Screencast. So you can use any software you are familiar with. If you are not familiar with that at all, then since the first creative work assignment is when is that? First creative work assignment is Friday this week. So make sure that you practice how to capture record the computer screen and how to upload on the YouTube and the like. Just practice it. If you begin doing so 11 p.m., just 1 hour prior to the due date, you may not make it through. Okay, first time. Okay, so it's important. YouTube account, you can use your own private account. So there is no designated one. So you can use any YouTube account, but you only submit the link. So you can watch these instructions and creative work assignment. I have created a video here in detail how how to upload and then YouTube video. There is access rules like private, public, and unlisted, and you are required to set the access mode of unlisted. If you put on private, no one can watch. I cannot watch. So you will get 0 credit out of that. All of the details are given in these videos, so refer to that. So video should be uploaded at YouTube and then give the link and then assignment submission. So when you submit the assignment, let me act as a student, and then first the creative work assignment. Here is the link to the submissions. Assignment 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 12 is there. So first one, as you click, here you are going to attach a file, program code. The how to submit the program code is same as a lesson assignment. Just transfer to your Linux account, test it, and then zip it there. So program submission is the same, but in the comments box here, paste YouTube link. That's what you need to do. Upload the video on YouTube and then get the link and then paste in the comments. And this comments only I can see that. Other students cannot see that. So that this presentation, your video presentation, is protected from other students. Otherwise, other students may copy your code. It's on the video, right? So it's just a confidential submission to me. And then be sure to put video access as unlisted. If you put as a public, someone may accidentally find your video and then watch that, okay, by searching YouTube. So be sure to do unlisted mode. That is explained and demonstrated in the video. Video length limit, this is a YouTube requirements. Up to 15 minutes, there is no restriction as long as you have a Google account. A Google account comes with the YouTube. But if your video is longer than 15, then YouTube requires additional verification step through your cell phone. So here's the link. Once you activate it, from that moment on, you can upload any length video. So if it's the first time, after uploading it, after upload is completed, YouTube will say it's not acceptable. It's a very unfriendly and then unfriendly message you will get. You will get mad if you are hitting 11:45 p.m. and the like. You need to upload it again and the like. So you will be mad. So just enable your video length issue restrictions lifted just for future possibility about that. So that's a creative work assignment. Here. And what it says is that the do I have another? Can you speak freely in our videos? Video presentations make it professional presentation. I like a humor as a joke, but video presentation I want to have as short as possible. So make it professional presentation. And since you are not going to add your own I mean your face or your body on the video, so there's no dress code of course, but make a short professional presentation to me, not just to anybody in public. So make as you explain the code, as I told you, as you explain C++, you may assume that I know most of the C++ features. So assignment, creative assignment 1 through 12, all the links are on the same page. Actually, these are the only page linked together. But the last creative work assignment is not a random open question. Here is a specific instructions to follow. Creative assignment 12. So until the last one, it's just a open-ended assignment. And then 12, there is a specific instructions which is based on lesson algorithm complexity. It's more like just an assignment you have to have from any class. All the instructions are given. So I think that's pretty much it for today. So if you are taking lab concurrently, from now on, never look into lab section. Just to complete everything in this lecture. That's sufficient. Okay. But if you take a lecture only anyway, you should do everything. So there's no exclusion even if you take a lecture only. And see a Linux server account, test it immediately. It's not working, and email me as instructed. The instructions are already announced on the detail. So I think I've covered everything for today. And any questions before we conclude? You may either write or speak. Any questions? Okay, you don't have questions right away. Then if you come later, post it on D12. It may be counted as extra credit. Okay? Remember that. And then first assignment due is a Thursday this week. Question is, can we use videos later to help build our portfolio? Yes and no. Because this is still lower division one, unless you do very complex and advanced topics, it may not impress your employer. But if you do similar things on the senior level project, suppose something like I teach mobile application programming, which you develop mobile app there, and then if you do good presentation, it's going to be a good portfolio issue. But we are learning basic C++ and algorithms. Then all you can impress your employer is how good you are as a teacher, not other program. It's hard to see, but it totally depends on the complexity of the project or assignment. Another question is, are we meeting again this week? No official meeting. Everything is going on D12, but if you need some virtual in-person office hours, you want to do that, just email me to schedule for that. Otherwise, just proceed with all of the things on D12, and then you are allowed to go ahead of time. So if you want to finish whole semester by the end of next week, you are allowed to do so. Just complete it. You don't have to wait until those due dates. And can you discuss in webex in every 3-4 lessons to conclude how we are going? If you are requesting for some virtual office hour visit, you can do that. Otherwise, every assignment will be graded, and then feedback will be on the grade page. So you can look up those feedbacks and the like. But if you want, you can request for a virtual in-person visit. Any other question do you have? Okay, that's it. And there will be no more meeting. And then just follow through the D12. Everything's there. And then I hope you have a wonderful and fruitful summer by studying C++ and data structures. So, okay. Yeah, I guess I would say bye. And thank you for joining today. And bye.